Hi, I'm FIDE Master Livy Cherbulenko, and in this series I explore the typical mistakes of people rated anywhere between 8,000 and 2,000. This is a first reaction, no engine analysis, of a chess gameplay between 1412 versus 1352. Let's start. Right, so e4, e6, the French defense. Alright, e5, the advanced or close variation. c5, so black tries to attack white's base, right? Because like if black can like get rid of this pawn, then this pawn will become weaker and it will be easier to attack it. Let's see, c3, knight c6, knight f3, queen b6. Typical idea in the French, putting pressure on the d4 pawn and on the b2 pawn. So for example, if white wants to go bishop b3, then black just takes on b2. Alright, b3, yeah, usually that's a bad idea, that's definitely a mistake, because it weakens the complex of dark squares around this pawn, like b4, a3, b2, c3, right? So there are normally three main moves. There's like bishop e2, simply continuing the normal development. There's bishop d3 with a trap. If black takes, then we take, and then check, and then we just win the queen. And there's this pawn a3 move, and then with b4 next. Let's say we make some move, and then we just play like b4, takes, and then we can defend the pawn on d4 via bishop e3 or via bishop b2. So these are normally the three typical ways to proceed for white. But yeah, b3 is not good, just weakens the dark squares on the queen side. h6, completely waste of time. Black could have played here, let's say, simply cd, and then there's like a bishop b4 check, by the way. Let's say just check. And the problem is that white loses a pawn, I believe. Because let's say bishop d2, black can just like take one, is black's the queen. Right, black's the queen, so knight takes d4, knight takes d4, queen takes d4, and now already there's no more, bishop b5 tricks and stuff. White doesn't win anything because of bishop on d2, so there's no discover check and stuff, and if bishop b4, simply queen takes b4, or actually this is also hanging, so there might also be like maybe first a check, and then queen takes a1, or immediately queen a1, or at the very least queen takes b4, so black is clearly better here, yeah. So bishop b4 would have been, yeah, great. Or if knight b2, well, the same, right? So what the bishop on b4 move does is it forces white to play like bishop or knight d2, and then blocks the queen, and then black just takes on d4, and then can take on e5, the rook is loose, and yeah, big advantage. So basically white needs to play like what, like king e2, but that's super weakening. King e2, maybe now black can just like open up the game, because the king is in the center, and maybe play like f6, for example, I don't know. Take something like knight f6, something like just castle, and maybe like push e5. White's king is super weak already. Black has huge advantage here. So there's also ideas like knight h6, and like knight f5, pressuring d4 also should be advantage for white. But the king is quite bad. Like black's the bishop. Like if it was like the bishop on d3 at least first, and then like king e2 would be maybe slightly better. But like with a bishop on f1, king's blocking the bishop is quite horrible for white. So yeah, see, like, but for example, if white plays some other move, let's say bishop e2, and now black plays bishop b4, because the pawn is on b2, white can actually play knight c3. So this is what I meant, right? The pawn on b2 is guarding the key dark squares, and you should never play b3 because you weaken with dark squares. Let's see, so h6, complete waste of time. Bishop e3, all right. That's crazy. Like black's last two moves are like absolute waste of time. Black should have played again cd, and like bishop b4 check, let's say, and now, if knight b2, there's also like this move, by the way, bishop c3, and then maybe like take on d4, or maybe like just play knight e7, then knight f5, also very logical, yeah, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn, and then bishop b4 check, or if not, at least bishop e7, like just normal development. It's normal development. Like, why waste time with a6? It's crazy. Alright, bishop e2. Kind of passive. I think bishop d3 would have been better, right? More active, Plus, also, if black wanna put a knight on f5, eventually, just like take it. Yeah. So, whenever you can put your piece on a more active square, put it on a more active square. Alright. Bishop e2. What is this? This is absolutely crazy. Like, black's last moves are like insane. Total nonsense. Alright, let's see. Castles. Yeah, white just continues his normal development. Oh my god, this is absolutely crazy. Alright, b6, wow. Like, He just completely ignores his development again. Should we play like knight e7, knight f5, develop a bishop on e7, castle, right? Develop this bishop. But queen on b6 was fine actually, putting pressure here, putting pressure here. Like there's no need to play queen a7 now. I mean, wasting so much time, neglecting his development, you know, having the queen in the corner. Yeah, makes zero sense. Alright, king h1. What? Wow, like, what's the point of king h1? So we see that black neglects his development, right? So usually the best strategy when your opponent is neglecting development, you're much ahead in development, you know, he makes just pawn moves, makes pawn moves, his king is in the center, the best strategy is to open the game up. So what would be here the best move to open the game up? I think c4 makes a lot of sense. Just c4. And we just like explode in the center, we just open the game up. Whatever, there's no way black can play not to open the game up. Whatever happens, he takes here, we take here, or knight c3, take now, take later. It doesn't matter. We open the game up. And we have huge activity for our pieces, right? And then we can play like queen d2, put the rook on d1, put the rook on c1, his king is in the center. It's just basically game over, basically. It's basically game over in a practical game. So whenever your opponent has a king in the center and is much underdeveloped, open the game up. Because if the game is closed, so what if you have your piece development? If they don't move, like this bishop doesn't move, this knight doesn't move, this bishop doesn't move, these rooks are stuck, this queen is stuck, there's no scope. So we create the scope by getting rid of pawns in the center, and if there are no pawns in the center, if there are no pawns, it means that our pieces are free and they can move, and then you can exploit your quantitative advantage, right? Because you have like more pieces developed than your opponent. Otherwise, you cannot exploit your advantage in development, all right? So c4, I believe, would have been the best move here. King h1, complete waste of time. Bishop b7. What is going on? Wait, this is some crazy stuff. This is some crazy stuff. What? Queen b8, f4. Absolutely insane. Okay, I mean, f4 makes sense. f4 is actually a good move, but like to waste so many moves just to play f4 is like crazy. We're much faster would have been to play c4 with immediate huge advantage. Yeah, absolutely insane. But okay, f4 in itself, yeah, is a good move. Alright, knight e7. Finally, black realizes he needs to play knight e7. Yeah. Bishop g4. Like I said earlier, right? The bishop should have been on d3 in the first place. And then white could have just played like f5 immediately, let's say. You know? Or like g4 f5 also. Would have made sense, right? g4 f5. But let's see. Bishop g4 looks a bit kind of weird, but I mean, it prepares f5 is, I guess, not the worst. g6 makes sense. Alright. h5, bishop, yeah, h3 again, looks kind of weird. Again, d3 would have been way more natural, more centralized square. But okay, cd, knight b4, knight f3 makes sense. Protecting, yes, knight d3, also maybe want to play knight g5, putting pressure on f7 and e6. Bishop g7, knight g5, alright. So finally, this looks like a chess game. Like the last couple of moves look like a chess game. Looks like it makes some sense. Alright. Because like before, but like it made zero sense. Alright, g4, yeah, makes sense. I mean, white wants to attack on the king side. Okay. Takes. Now if I can play queen h4, yeah, that'd be great. With the checkmating idea on h7. Bishop h6, I mean, knight f5, I think, would have made more sense. Protecting against queen h4, also attacking the bishop on e3. I think this is more logical. But okay, bishop h6. Okay, queen h4. Takes. Okay. Knight, yeah, knight d3, I don't understand. Who does the knight attack? The knight doesn't attack anyone. Black has very weak dark squares, the knight's hanging by the way. And if like white can get like somehow something like this, yeah, or like a queen on h6 and like somehow the bishop on f6, that'd be great for white, because the dark squares are weak. So we're checkmating ideas on like g7 and h8, but the knight's hanging first of all. So I think black should play like knight f5, And if takes, simply ef. And then black should just like trade the queens, maybe like queen d8. Get rid of his queen. Black is actually fine here. So yeah, I think knight f5 was the right move, of course. But yeah, knight d3 is a huge blunder. Yeah, just queen. Oh, and black just resigned. Yeah, of course. Or just completely winning. Again, should have played simply knight f5. Takes, and then just like queen d8, rook c8, and here, and there's also knight c2. Actually, wait a bit. There is also like there's also like knight c2 immediate threat, right? So not just queen d8, but let's say like white defends somehow, like rook f2 or something. And just queen d8, rook c2, rook c8 next, like knight c2 ideas, knight d3 ideas, rook c2 ideas, you know. Black king is pretty safe. Yeah, black actually probably has already an advantage here, actually. White's bishop is quite stuck here. Yeah, so yeah, knight d3 was a huge mistake. Yeah, and black just resigned. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video.